welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to be looking at this cute little children's book called Our Flag Was Still There, the true story of Mary Pickersgill and the Star-Spangled Banner. So this is a children's picture book. I have it digitally. That talks about how Major George Armistead, who was the general who was in charge of Fort McHenry during the War of 1812. So he wanted a flag, a standard bearer, to hang above the fort. So he commissioned Mary Pickersgill, who was a seamstress. She had learned flag making trade from her widowed mother. She also made blankets and uniforms during the Revolutionary War. She was now widowed herself. She owned her own business. She had her mother was still around, so her mother helped her. Her daughter, she had two nieces, and an indentured servant, and they all worked to make this flag, which was huge. And they had got a lot of fabric, and it was absolutely massive. Here, let me see if I'm showing the pictures there. It's a cute book. And then it talks about this wasn't as emergent. The British had come into Chesapeake Bay, and then they left to go to the West Indies. But then they came back. They burned Washington, D.C., and they started attacking Fort McHenry. And at the end, the flag was still there. And there was a British lawyer out on the ship by the name of Francis Scott Key. And he saw that flag still flying. And we have our Star-Spangled Banner, which eventually became our national anthem, at least 2 verses of it. It is 4 verses long. It is very, very interesting. I do recommend reading the entire thing. But it's a cute children's picture book that talks about the truth. This is at least truthful. There is a little bit of information. So it does talk about how she made the flag. And let's see. Some of it talks about the history of the flag, how it ended up being put this way and that and cut with little pieces. And eventually in 1912, it was given to the Smithsonian Institution in D.C., where it was restored. They didn't repair it. They restored it. So the cuts are still there. Then it was displayed, but then of course apparently it got attacked by moths. Then 50 years later in 1864, a bigger museum was made for it, and they designed a specific place for the flag. Then in 1996, they planned a new exhibit for it, and they started restoring the flag again. So they had to carefully fix it and get it stop deteriorating, and now you can see it today. You can this is kind of a picture of where you can see it today. It was a very, very big flag. And what does it say that? Yeah. So look, because there is an author's note. I want to do a quick. Apparently it lasted 3 years, and by war's end the issues had been resolved and peace was returned. And let's see. And yeah, it talks about how she was helped. And a little bit more about the War of the 1812. But this is actually true. So, And it does mention Betsy Ross, who is rumored to have made the first American flag, which in reality was a PR campaign by her grandson. There's no proof of this. This is different. This is the Star-Spangled Banner. This was created. It was hung above Fort McHenry. It was during the War of 1812, not the American War of Independence. During the American Revolution, there was no standard flag. So this does go back to something I've mentioned before when talking about the War of 1812. One of the major things that came out of it, at least for the United States, was a sense of national pride. So it had been 30 years since we won the American Revolution and we won our freedom, but there wasn't a sense of unity at that time. There was not a sense of pride in being a member of the United States. And the War of 1812 accomplished this. It also accomplished the same thing for the Canadians. So that was how both sides won. And then, as I've mentioned before, it's the Indians, the Native Americans who lost, because the British weren't going to prevent themselves or the United States from taking their land and going west. So, but it is a cute picture book. I do recommend it. It talks about the real story. Again, Betsy Ross, the person is real. Her story about the flag in Washington is it's a PR stunt. Very, very old PR stunt and a very, very good PR stunt, but a PR stunt. It is not real at all. It is a complete mythology. This is not. So, that is it for this video. I think this is the last book review for the War of 1812 and Miss Caroline. We will be moving all the way to the 1820s to New Mexico with Josefina next, and then we'll move on to New Orleans in the 1850s with Cecile and Marie Grace, and then up north to Minnesota with Kirsten, again still in the 1850s, and then to Addie in Pennsylvania, where we'll be discussing the American Civil War in the 1860s, and then we'll jump all the way into the early 1900s with Samantha. And then we'll move on from there. So if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe and check out the rest of the channel. Thank you.